For Eric J on Sports, I'm Eric J, and this is what I think. Recently, the Washington football team retired the number 21 jersey of former player Sean Taylor. Now, before you think that I'm about to stand here and bash Sean Taylor, I'm not. Sean Taylor was a very good player. He was on his way to being a great player. Sean Taylor spent 3.5 seasons with the Washington football team, and he made the Pro Bowl one season, and he was posthumously voted to the Pro Bowl after the season in which he was killed. Now, Sean Taylor was killed after a home invasion where he surprised the intruders, was shot in the leg, and bled out and died from the injury. We are not standing here bashing Sean Taylor. But the Washington team decided to retire the number 21 that was formerly worn by Sean Taylor, and no one has worn that number since Sean Taylor wore it. That's the same number that Deion Sanders wore previous to Sean Taylor, but no one's worn it since Sean Taylor. And there's nothing wrong with retiring Sean Taylor's number. Other teams have retired numbers for players who were killed prematurely or who died prematurely, like Bobby Phills and Kim Perrott and other players like that. So it's not unusual and it's not a bad thing and there's nothing wrong with it, and I'm not bashing Sean Taylor or Washington. But Sean Taylor's number retirement makes that the third number that Washington has retired in the history of the franchise, following wide receiver Bobby Mitchell and quarterback Sammy Baugh. So Sean Taylor joins a super exclusive group of players whose numbers were retired by Washington. Now, don't get me wrong. Washington has a ring of fame at their stadium, and they have 48 individuals, players, coaches, and contributors, including Vince Lombardi, immortalized in their ring of fame. But as far as retired numbers, they only have 3. And I'm not standing here saying that every team should be like the Boston Celtics or the Los Angeles Lakers or teams like that, where they retire practically every number to the point where you run out, or retire marginal players just for the sake of retiring numbers. But I am saying that there were some players who historically contributed to the history of the Washington football team and who left indelible marks in the team's history. And if no one else, then those numbers should possibly be retired. First, how about Joe Theismann? Joe Theismann was an MVP of the league. Joe Theismann led the Washington team to 2 consecutive Super Bowl appearances, winning 1. But his number 7 is currently being worn by Dwayne Haskins. Maybe you retire Joe Theismann's number since he was the quarterback for the team's first ever Super Bowl victory. How about John Riggins? His number 44 has not been worn since he took it off, but he was the MVP of that first ever Super Bowl victory, and he's in the Hall of Fame, but his number hasn't been retired either. But if you don't even want to do that, how about the number 17 formerly worn by Doug Williams? Doug Williams took the team to the Super Bowl, their 3rd appearance in the Super Bowl, their 2nd victory. Doug Williams was the most valuable player in that Super Bowl victory. Doug Williams set a record with 4 TD passes in a single quarter in that Super Bowl victory, and Doug Williams became the first African-American starting quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl. These are things that can never be taken away. First African-American quarterback to play in a Super Bowl, first African-American quarterback to win a Super Bowl, first African-American quarterback to be the most valuable player in a Super Bowl, first quarterback, period, to throw 4 touchdown passes in a single quarter in the Super Bowl. And the 2nd Super Bowl victory of 3 for the Washington football team. There are currently 3 victories in 4 appearances, and the 2nd victory was quarterbacked by Doug Williams. So if you don't want to retire Theismann's number, if you don't want to retire Riggins' number, seems to me, for all the historical context attached to that Super Bowl and that Super Bowl victory, the number 17 formerly worn by Doug Williams would be a number that would be retired by the team and possibly by the league, because if not for Doug Williams' success, there would not be a Michael Vick possibly, a Donovan McNabb possibly, a Randall Cunningham possibly, a Kyler Murray today, a Jalen Hurts today, Lamar Jackson today, or any of these other quarterbacks, because the league might not have seen that African-American NFL quarterbacks can be successful at the highest level. But no, Washington doesn't retire Doug Williams' jersey. Washington lets 8 other people wear Doug Williams' jersey after Doug Williams takes it off. Terry McLaurin is wearing the number 17 right now, today, for Washington. So you don't retire his jersey. You put him in the Ring of Fame, and that's great. But if you're going to have a Ring of Fame and you're going to retire jerseys, seems to me that the Ring of Fame might actually be a step below the retired jersey number, because you've only retired 3 jerseys. So that's more exclusive than being one of nearly 50 people immortalized in your Ring of Fame. And if you're not going to retire John Riggins' number, the MVP of your first ever Super Bowl victory, and you're not going to retire Joe Theismann's number, the quarterback that took the team to 2 consecutive Super Bowls, won one, and was a league MVP, then it seems to me, alongside Sammy Ball and alongside Bobby Mitchell, and in the future alongside Sean Taylor, who only played 3.5 seasons with the team but was murdered in his house during a home invasion, it seems to me that Washington would have considered retiring the number 17 worn by Doug Williams, because he was the first African-American quarterback to take a team to the Super Bowl, to win that Super Bowl, and to be most valuable player in that Super Bowl. That, it seems to me, is something a little more exclusive than any of these other players that we could possibly be thinking of today. But that's just my opinion, which is why this series of videos is called what it's called. Remember to like and share this video and subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Facebook at Eric J on Sports 1 and on Instagram and Twitter at Eric J on Sports. And for Eric J on Sports, I'm Eric J, and this is what I think.